Hello everybody, good afternoon, welcome to the United Stand. Mason Greenwood transfer deadline, Jadon Sancho transfer concern, also job losses at Old Trafford. Quite rightly, in a world where it's all about the millions, we're talking about, some would say, the minions, the people who are not on massive money being made redundant by Manchester United. A lot of people not happy about it. We need to talk about it because it's real life matters. 250 people out of a workforce of 1,100 have been made redundant today by Manchester United. Sad news. We've got to talk about that. Also, we've got an update on what is happening with Victor Lindelof, as well as Lukaku potentially coming back to Manchester United. What that's all about must be a load of crap. Rabiot as well being mentioned too. But we're going to start off with a story that's coming out of Italy. It's coming from La Gazzetta dello Sport, saying that Lazio have set a transfer deadline of July the 10th for Manchester United to accept their offer or they will walk away. Well, there is a little bit of a time crisis going on here for Manchester United, where many of you have said, what's happening with Mason Greenwood? What's happening with Jadon Sancho? We're back in training on the 8th of July, which is Monday. Are these two lads going to walk in with their their football boots under their arms, smiling at the cameras? Surely not, for very different reasons. Jadon Sancho has not apologised to people within that football club. I can't see how he walks in and starts training, and even if he does, the newspapers are all going to be about that. This is a new Manchester United. We don't want stories from the past causing issues. Mason Greenwood, very different story. Obviously, Mason Greenwood generates publicity himself. Whether you or I agree with it, he walks into Carrington with his boots under his arm, training with Man United. You've got a shitstorm of people protesting from all walks of life and groups saying we don't want that person at our football club. So there is a bit of a time crisis here. There is a bit of a situation to handle for Manchester United. But look, the easiest way for it to be handled is if Manchester United sell Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho. We'll talk about what's happening with Sancho, because the honest answer is not a lot. And it's a concern for him more than it is for Man United, I think. But with regards to Mason Greenwood, the offer that has apparently come in is, well, get ready for this. The offer for Mason Greenwood from Lazio is 20 million euros. 20 million euros, take it or leave it, by July the 10th. 20 million euros. What's that in English pounds or British pounds or whatever they call it, or sterling? I think that's about 16 million quid, which is pretty much abysmal. The interesting thing is that as part of that 20 million euros, we get a 50% sell-on fee. I.e., if he goes to Lazio and does well, and then they sell him for 60, we get another 30 back. So there is, I like that. I do like that part of the deal, 50% as part of the sell-on, because I think he's a good enough player that he will get another move. But we need the money now. That's the thing. It's all right saying, well, look, Lazio, we get 50% when they sell him, and we might get another 30 million there, which adds up to 45 altogether. But we need the money now. And I think that's the big problem with that. What I want to know is, where's Atletico Madrid? Where's Marseille? Where's Juventus? Where's Barcelona in all this lot? There is a lot of interest in Mason Greenwood, and he's worth more than 20 million euros, regardless of any perceived baggage, which there isn't in Europe. There's no protests or moaning about Greenwood in Europe. It's very much the Premier League. So we've got to get more out of that. Now, apparently Man United want 35 million euros, which is 30 million pounds, which I think is very fair. But I just think that I just don't see a way that Mason Greenwood can come back to Manchester United and start training. I just don't see it. I don't think anybody expects it. But obviously, clubs are in a situation at the moment where they feel that they can undervalue him and take the piss. And it would be a piss take. He's worth way more than 20 million euros. But apparently that's the offer from Lazio. Of course, it depends on where Mason Greenwood wants to go and what other offers there are. But look, can we just talk about football for a minute? If I'm the manager or the CEO or the director of football of Atletico Madrid and I see Lazio offering 20 million euros, I just walk in and go, there's 35 million euros. You can have, we'll take him. Thank you very much. He's definitely a 30 million pound player. Definitely. And you'd find the money for that. Simon Bobble, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. Somebody was asking about what the latest is with Mason Greenwood. The team is back in training on Monday. Will Greenwood be there? Highly unlikely, highly unlikely. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean he'll be sold by then either, because and look, what people forget about it as well, I nearly forgot to say this myself, Mason Greenwood knows he's leaving Manchester United. Mason Greenwood knows he doesn't want to come back to the Premier League at the moment. He also knows that last season he didn't have a pre-season. Pre-season running around a pitch in Dubai or whatever is not the same as pre-season with your teammates. So he wants to be part of a team this season. He wants to be part of the pre-season because he didn't get it last year. So he wants to, and pre-season is very important. So it's not in his interests to be sat around in July waiting, training on his own, waiting for a move like he did last year. So he wants to get it done and resolved as well. But at the moment, as we say, you look at that Calder meter, he is at the top of it, 9 out of 10, he's going to go. But where's he going to go? We don't know. So we'll have to just wait and see. But apparently Lazio have put an offer in for 20 million euros with a 50% sell-on fee. You know, we get 50% of anything after that when he gets sold, but we need the money now, of course. MX says that Greenwood had 16 goals and assists in La Liga for Getafe. He's worth a lot more than that. Feels like Lazio taking advantage of the fact that United want to sell Greenwood, says Patrick. This is another area where we see the expertise of the new board, says Patrick. Well, I think we will do it. It might be a time issue. It might be a time issue because there is interest there. But I think United will just take the first good offer that comes in, and those who are trying to play a game will make themselves look rather stupid. On to Jadon Sancho. A lot of people saying what's happening with Jadon Sancho. I think it's very different with Jadon Sancho. There's a lot of interest in Mason Greenwood. He very much wants to just get playing. He wants to go and sign for his new club and have a pre-season and just, you know, move on. And I think that will facilitate the deal as much as the interest. Jadon Sancho's a really weird one. I was speaking to somebody about this a couple of days ago, and they basically said the Sancho situation is so hard to read because there's nothing really coming from his camp, nothing really coming from Man United, and there's nothing really out there. Sancho's biggest issue is that surely, as a professional footballer of his age, he wants to be playing football. You know, what's he been doing for the last month? Is he one of those players who are in Dubai, running up that hill, getting himself super fit, ready for the new season? What is he doing? Like, there's not a lot of noise coming out from Sancho. There's not a lot of noise coming out from Man United, and there's certainly not a lot of interest out there. So is this a player? Look, we've all seen what happened with Jesse Lingard when after he left Forest a year ago. He had no club. We've all seen what happens with someone like Marcus Rashford, like when Ten Hag came in and he got himself super fit and was really focused. Nobody really knows what's happening with Sancho at the moment. He could be in a, you know, off radar, working really hard. He could be like, I sat there for 3 months last season and didn't play. I'll do it again and earn 300k a week. We don't know what is happening. I mean, he's a hard player to read because I thought he did reasonably well for Dortmund, but I don't think he did well enough to have clubs queuing up for him. And as we know, last season, he did sit there for 3 months and didn't play. So he will not be coming into training at Carrington on Monday and, you know, Ten Hag's going to be there, welcome back. You know, that's not going to happen. You know, never say never, but it's not. Like, the situation hasn't changed from why he left in the first place. And therefore, what's he going to do? I mean, somebody said to me, today, actually, they said, I've got a funny feeling that Ten Hag and Sancho have made up privately and he's going to get another chance and he's going to absolutely cook on the right wing for Man United. And I was like, I'll have a pint of what you're drinking then, please. And they were like, what? It could happen. And I said, yeah, it could happen. But you know what? It's not going to happen, is it? Because people don't change in that sense. They had a massive fallout, and he had a massive fallout with more than Ten Hag. Also, there's been issues about training, turning up, inconsistency on the pitch. This is a new Man United. I just don't, not for a million years will that happen, I don't think. But I also don't think we're going to hear Sancho moving to Juventus on loan tomorrow. I just think that he's going to be somebody that's training with the kids or, you know, training on his own, trying to find a loan late in August if he's not careful. So, look, the Greenwood situation is very different. He's played football, he's a valued player, and he's going to find a good move for himself and United and whoever he goes to. Jadon Sancho, he's still on 300 grand a week. There's not a massive amount of interest in him. And, you know, he has sat there and not trained with the first team before, and he might do it again. I mean, I don't know. And also, let's not forget, there could also be this childish game that went on last year where it was like, if you don't apologise, you're not training. Well, I'm not apologising. I'm on big money. Oh, yeah, whatever. We don't care. And they just sit there and let it go. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out with Sancho, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it's interesting as well because it says Sancho and Maguire concern. I think that's where you get two really different things that are very similar. Jadon Sancho has got to leave Manchester United. Where are you going? Where are you going? You can't come back. You probably don't want to come back. Where are you going? Pre-season starts next week. You haven't played for England in the Euros. You've had your holiday. Time to go to work. What are you doing? What's your motivation? You know, what are you actually doing? Harry Maguire would have gone to the Euros, got an injury, gutter, has his holiday, has his break, comes back for pre-season next week, will probably play in some of the pre-season games, will probably play quite well. Everyone will be going, let's keep him, he's a good player. But, and he was good for his last season, but you bring in De Ligt, you've got Martinez, you bring in another centre-back, Maguire is fourth choice centre-back. Like, Lindelof's clearly going to go. But Harry Maguire is going to clearly be fourth choice centre-back if we buy two centre-backs. So how does that get him back in the England squad under a new coach, which will probably not be Gareth Southgate? He won't be in that first squad. So where's Harry Maguire's head at? Because he's good enough to play football for a lot of Premier League clubs, and he's good enough to still be an England squad, which he really, really will feel he's got unfinished business in. You know, he would have been expecting to be a big part of that England team, and he missed out, and he won't want that to be the end of his England career. But if Southgate goes, he won't be in the next squad as fourth choice Man United centre-back, and he nearly left last year. So, you know, what does Maguire do? So I think there's a few players like that who are going to be part of our pre-season, but will probably move later on. You don't have to have gone by July the 8th, but as I said, with Sancho and Greenwood, it's a little bit different. I'm sure we're going to see Donny van de Beek walking in smiling with his boots under his arm. There's no future in it. We've seen that before. We saw it with Pereira for many years. So I guess, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. There's a bit of an update. Two stories from Italy. I'll just summarise them very, very quickly. One of them from Italy is saying that Man United will look at Romelu Lukaku if the deal for Xerxes falls apart. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, that is just Man United being used by some idiot. Like, we are not in for Romelu Lukaku, and we will not be in for Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, Chelsea need to sell him. He needs a club. Let's throw Man United into the equation. Absolutely not. No way, never. That will not happen. And also, I think he said stuff about Man United since he left. So he's just, no, file that away. Rabiot has also been linked to Man United again in the last few hours. We've spoken about Rabiot. He is a player that we've tried to get for a couple of summer transfer windows. He is available on a free. But as we spoke about yesterday, the offer on the table from Juventus is €7 million after tax. That would mean, just to match up to that with the English tax that you pay in England, we would have to be giving him a wage of 200k north, and we can't do that. So I don't see Rabiot happening if those wage stories are true. And I don't necessarily see it happening anyway, because we're obviously looking at Ugarte. A legend named Lucas says, what are your thoughts on the new home kits? I'm quite indifferent to kits these days, mate. I mean, I've got to be honest. I used to like the kits when I was like a teenager and stuff. I mean, you know, the sharp view cam that Cantona was wearing, I've got that. The away kit when we first won the Premier League with the dark blue and the black paint, loved that. Some of the home kits were very nice. I loved the 99 one, with the little zip on it. But I don't really get involved in it now. Not really that fussed. It's not my thing. So that's my thoughts on it. But fair play if you do like that sort of thing. What I do want to bring in, though, and look, this will separate those who are interested in things beyond shiny new toys. It is significant, and not for 1 minute would I have not brought this into the show. We'd heard that there was going to be redundancies when Ineos came in. It's been rumoured for a few months, so we knew it was coming. It's been announced today that out of Manchester United's 1,100 workforce, 250 will lose their jobs. They've been told this morning they're gone. That's a lot of people to lose their job. Now, it says that the money saved will go into the first team. Look, I have a feeling that this will cause strong opinions on those who, morally get what we're talking about here. Redundancies are never a good thing. and it's really, really sad. The money that Man United are going to save from 250 people is not going to buy you Kylian Mbappe. If the average wage is, what, £40,000 a year, because these are going to be people who work in the back office, they're not on massive money. Man United don't pay huge money to any member of staff beyond the high, the players. Man United aren't brilliant payers of people who work in the office and in the admin and stuff like that. So, and like most football clubs, they don't, just because you work for Man United or Arsenal, you're not necessarily on a good wage. So if you are making 250 people redundant whose average wage is about £40,000 a year, you're saving less than £10 million a year. Well, that isn't even going to cover half of some of our players' wages. So this is not about effectively sacking 250 people so you can go and spend a load of money in the transfer window. What this is, and I agree with the people who say it's bang out of order. You've got someone like Casemiro and Marcus Rashford on 300 grand a week or 350 grand a week. And if you got their wage down to a more realistic wage of 250 grand a week, all those people could keep their job. They're right. They're right. We pay stupid money to some players that don't deserve it. And if we didn't, none of those people would need to lose their job. I agree with that on a very basic level. Yeah, you could save that money elsewhere because there is no way any Man United player in that squad should be on any more than 250 grand a week. Nobody. And you would save millions. But the flip side of the coin is, and the one that people don't want to listen to, it's really sad that people are losing their job. And putting the Manchester back into Manchester United isn't really working if you're making 250 local people redundant. It's sad. It's really sad. But we knew that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos were a business. And if you did your homework, you knew that. They are a business. He is successful because he is a ruthless businessman. And that's just how business works. And also, what people do not consider is Ineos have probably gone into that company, seen 1,100 people, and realised they can do exactly the same with 750. And that is something very different. Efficiency on saving money is very different on efficiency. We don't actually need these many people here working. Now, what the truth is, I don't know. But we knew this was coming. It's very, very sad. And we're not talking about people here who are driving around in gold-plated Bentleys earning 300 grand a week. We're talking about people here who are losing a job and have mortgages to pay, and children to feed, and have now got to go and try and find a job in a very, very difficult job market in the UK. So it's very sad. It's very, very sad. But ultimately, if you want somebody to blame, then look at Old Trafford, look at why we might need to knock it down and move away because it's visibly rusting, and then use that as symbolisation of what's happening inside the club for the last 20 years. The reason these people are losing their job, obviously, is because a decision's been made by probably Ineos, but it's also because of the poor running of the football club by the Glazers over the last 20 years. It's ultimately, overarchingly, definitively sad. But it, like the stadium, like the squad, this will come down to the club being run badly over the last decade especially. And unfortunately, Ineos can come in and be the heroes when they sign players and they change the scouting system, but they're going to have to be the villain on some stuff as well. And on this, they are the villain. They're making 250 people sacked, basically. And it's very, very sad. And the money we'll save from it will not make an indentation on our transfer window, because at the end of the day, 250 people are going to lose their job, and the money we save from that will not cover Marcus Rashford's wages for 1 year. So let's not pretend we're going to save millions of pounds from this. This is efficiency. This is looking at them and going, we don't need them. That's what it is. This is looking at them and going, we can save some money here. It's sad. Do I agree with it? Profoundly no. Did I expect it? 100% yes. There's a lot of things that need changing at Manchester United, and it's not just should we sack the manager. Ash says it's what Elon Musk did to Twitter. Streamline the staff, as harsh as it is, will make things happen quicker. And considering Marcus and his charity work feeding unfortunate kids, he could have reduced his salary to provide for the staff, says Simile. I don't think it works like that, though. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think this is about, one of the players having a whip round and saying, let's keep all these people in a job. I think Ineos have looked at it and gone, we don't need these jobs. So it's sad they're losing their job, and I blame the Glazers for how they've run the club. But I genuinely think they've walked in and gone, right, there's 3 people here. We don't need 3, we need 2. Right, there's 6 people there. We only need 4. I think they've just gone in and gone, we don't actually need this many people doing this sort of stuff. So the job still needs to go. But yeah, it's never a nice thing. And you know what? I think the flip side to that coin is when you listen to what Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do with the stadium, he wants to generate jobs around there. They want to rejuvenate around there. Cinemas, entertainment plazas. A lot more going on around Old Trafford. So in the long term, hopefully it's not like he's coming in and going, yeah, we're getting rid of people. We don't need you. We're taking these jobs to America and we're going to do them via AI. There is a lot of stuff that's going to happen around the stadium. But in the short term, it's very sad. Kaushik says as well, unfortunately, with such a large debt, there would be job cuts. Happens in every business. This is on the Glazers. Is it confirmed it's all local people, or does it include global employees too? Well, exactly. It will be some local, but who knows? It's sad anyway. Beth took annual leave at the wrong time, working overtime at the busiest time of the year for football. Please, can we just get rid of Sancho? Says Goldio. And hi, Mark. What's your thoughts on the new home kit? I've done that one from there. I'm just going back to that, Goldio. People are talking about employees' rights. Beth's entitled to book a week off and go on holiday. I wouldn't mind doing it sometimes, but as the boss, you've got to steady the ship. We don't want to be I don't want to be the captain of the Titanic and let it sink. But it's been a busy season and everybody deserves a break. And I hope a lot of you are getting a break as well. Tough decisions need to be made, says Ivan. It happens in every merger or takeover, no matter what business you're in. It's sad, but I'm sure they get severance, says Ivan. Well, I saw a tweet today. I don't know who it was from. Somebody was saying, how can Man United be sacking, normal people, and yet they're using private jets to fly out to Ibiza to tell Eric Ten Hag that he's keeping his job? Have they not heard of Zoom? And then, quite rightly, one of the replies said, if Man United had done a Zoom call to tell Ten Hag had got his job, there would have been an outcry from the same journalist saying, how insensitive do you want to be? I mean, there's no correlation. There's absolutely no correlation. If I say that we're getting rid of one of our, I'm trying to think of an example of why one thing doesn't automatically relate to the other. If that sounds really elitist, so I don't want to do that. I was going to do it about having a pet horse or 2, which nobody's got, not even I've got that. So I'm trying to think imagine like Seb, right? Seb is doing swimming lessons on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, he's got football private lessons, and on Thursday, he does tennis, right? He doesn't do 2 of those things, but, and I'm paying for that. And then I look at the stuff and I go, right, okay, he doesn't even like tennis that much. I can't really afford it, so we're going to get rid of the tennis. And then on the Friday night, we go out for his sister's birthday to the local pub. And he goes, oh, you can afford to take my sister out to the local pub to celebrate her birthday, but you can't afford for me to play tennis. Like, there's no correlation to it. Because, going out to see Ten Hag in Ibiza for the personal touch is very, these people are on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. These people who are being moved on are on much less money and are, let's be honest, they're low-hanging fruit in the sense that they've obviously looked at it and gone, we don't need you. We actually do not need you. And we're just wasting money keeping you. And that's why when somebody says, well, Rashford could give some of his wage to keep them, I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe would say, give your money to charity, because we don't need these roles, Marcus. It's not about finding a way to keep them. Like, it's not like if we get rid of them, we won't be able to play night games because they're the guys who do the lights. Like, we are going to run as a football club absolutely fine. We just do not need these roles. it's inefficient. So yeah, we'll save some money, but also we don't need those roles. And I think that is obviously what Ivan is saying as well. But DD says AI can replace 75% of scouts and managerial staff. You could argue that bags of cement could replace 20% of our first team as well at times. But look, we're going to be making efficiency savings in the first team as well. So look, it's never nice, because it's real, to know that real people who rely on that wage are going to lose their job. It happens. You know, I know loads of people who've been made redundant. Loads of people. You know, I remember when I worked in a job and was very settled, and they said, right, in 2 weeks' time, you're working on the other side of the city. And I was like, what? And, you know, people make horrible decisions and they don't even care. And we don't know the backside to this at all. We don't know the other side to it. But it's not like, you know, those people are being the only ones targeted here. Look at the first team squad. We are going to be looking to reduce the wage bill there, aren't we? So there's a lot of... We're in massive debt. Think about the gym analogy this morning. You know, you walk in the gym, there's Man City, or, you know, pumped up on God knows what, ripped, everything like that. Arsenal ain't looking bad as well. We've let ourselves go a little bit. We've got to trim the grass to make the yard look bigger in a club sense. And, you know, maybe Manscaped have missed a trick here. There's a bit of a sponsorship deal, because we have got to do that. We have got to do that. We know this club's been run badly. We know we've wasted a lot of money. We know we need to build a new stadium. We know we need to invest in the squad. And to do that, you can't just find your money. You can't just, you know, print it. You've got to find that money. And it's like De Ligt, actually. I've seen a lot of people, and I've got to acknowledge this, in our comments on social media, I've seen a lot of people going in on De Ligt saying, I like the player. I'm just worried that he's not good enough. You know, Dyer's getting picked ahead of him at Bayern. He can't get into the Dutch team. You know, why are we buying a player that, you know, is behind Van Dijk, De Vrij, Van der Ven, and Aki? You know, we need to buy players that are better than that if we want to get better. And I agree. I do agree with that. You know, I don't disagree that there are risks attached to De Ligt. I just disagree about the pace, and I disagree about the injury, and I disagree that he's, you know, the Dutch Maguire. I think he's a good player. But what I do agree with is that there is this, you know, he's not definitely the best centre-back in Europe, is he? Would you even put him in the top 10 at the moment? Probably not. The potential is to be there, of course. But what people don't realise is we're not going from level 1 to Premier League title in one centre-back signing. We are going to go from right down there to right up there in gradients. And you're here and you want to be here, you buy De Ligt and you go here. And then next summer you buy a couple of other players and you go here. De Ligt doesn't take us to Man City. And I think some people still have that mindset of, I don't think Ugarte's anywhere near as good as Rodri. No, he's not. Oh, De Ligt's not as good as John Stones. No, he's not. Oh, Xerxes nowhere near as good as Alvarez. Probably not. No. Yeah. Oh, why are we buying them then? Because we can't get those players at the moment. We don't have the money. We don't have the pull. And they're going to other clubs. What we need to do is gradually make our squad better than it is. Is De Ligt better than Maguire? Yes. Is he better than Lindelof? Yes. Is he better than Johnny Evans? Yes. We've got to gradually make changes. You know what Sir David Brailsford talks about? Marginal gains. We're going to have to make marginal gains year on year to get there. It's going to take time. And unfortunately, part of that is going to be cutting, you know, eating into that debt, making changes. That's how it's going to work. So we spoke about Greenwood. We spoke about Sancho. We've spoken about De Ligt. Oh, just on De Ligt as well. I can't even be bothered to, you know. Surprise, surprise. There was an article today from a certain journalist in a certain newspaper who couldn't help himself from doing what he always does. We're after De Ligt, who has been recommended by Barada and Dan Ashworth. We're after De Ligt. It's got nothing to do with Dan Ashworth and Barada, though. This is another Dutch player coming to Manchester United that's played for Ten Hag, right? Gets better than that. Apparently, since De Ligt signed for Juventus, they've not won a title. And since Bayern, it went wrong in the second season. So, and also in the World Cup, De Ligt got 2 red cards, and the Netherlands didn't win the World Cup. So, yeah, just I was exactly on about this morning. There are some people who will just not let their agenda towards Erik ten Hag go. And now De Ligt is, a complete and utter shit signing who is only coming here because of Ten Hag. And everywhere he's been a disaster. And Juventus haven't won the league since he signed for them. And Bayern didn't win the league last year. Well, Bayern won the league the first season he was there, actually. They're a bit lucky. Dortmund blew it, but they did. It's just the same old story. If they're Dutch, you can't sign them. Look, De Ligt has been signed off by Ashworth, Barada, Wilcox, and everybody else. And they can say no. Even if Ten Hag says, please get me De Ligt, he's going to be the be-all and end-all. They can go, no, we've been here before with Anthony. No, they've said yes. So this needs calling out. People who are still trying to say stuff about, oh, it's another Dutch player that Ten Hag's getting. It's completely missing the point that we have a committee of people that can say no to all of that, and they've said yes to doing it. So we need to, I don't get it. People writing off signings before they've even held up the shirt, looking for a negative before they've even held up the shirt. It must be a sorry existence to be so bitter and twisted about something that you're completely wrong about as well. But yeah, look, I never wanted Matic. I never wanted Fellaini. I never wanted Lukaku. But when they held up the shirt, I was like, give him a chance. All right, I got proved right on 2 of them, but give him a chance. Come on. He also retweeted a video from 2019 of him giving the ball away against United in a youth match. Mate, I can't believe some of these people are pundits or ex-players or journalists. Their bitterness belongs in a playpen. It's unbelievable. Do they not understand what journalism is meant to be? I don't know. Hope you United Stan / Beth get invited to press conferences, says Sandeep. And thank you very much for that as well. Right. Again, these 2 o'clock shows, I think I do a lot longer than I'm meant to do. But we've done another half an hour there. Fantastic stuff. We're back. It's 8 o'clock show tonight, by the way. I can't wait. An 8 o'clock show on the United Stand. This Euros has been good, but it's nice to be back in the normal slot. I'll be back at 8 o'clock. I'm sure there'll be a load of more news to react to then. Good show, says MKF. Well, it can't be a good show without you lot. So thanks everyone for getting involved. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We're moving towards 1.9 million subscribers, and then we're on the countdown. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And I will see you all a little bit later. Take care. And get your comments in below. Realistically, there's quite a lot in there to have an opinion on, isn't there? Speak to you in a bit.